I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the Republican Party is like semi shutting down town halls. And I don't mean like all Republicans are shutting down town halls, because a certain congressman actually did go through with a town hall, and we're gonna go and watch some of that footage today. But after a few disastrous town hall where public workers that are their constituents who have been laid off or being furloughed, or saying like half their staff get fired, or people who are getting affected by those layoffs, or people who are seeing like Elon Musk, who has an extremely low approval rating, accessing all this classified information, sticking his nose into Social Security, which many people do not want to see. And these meetings are getting really heated and loud because this is not a Fox News interaction. And a lot of these people, some of them are like new green, congressmen. They just got elected and they don't know how to deal with the public pressure. There are others that, I think maybe have dropped into a bit of a podcast and TV bubble. And when they heard somebody yelling at them about Social Security instead of woke trans kids, like kidnapping your dog and eating it or whatever, it was kind of difficult to respond, because when you say things like, oh, I think Trump loves the Constitution, when he's actively saying he wants to terminate the Constitution. He said he wanted to terminate the Constitution when he lost, so he could just be installed as president. And now he just doesn't respect large sections of it, whether that has to do with birthright citizenship or, for example, Article 1. I don't know, if you're writing a constitution, what would you put in Article 1? I think some pretty important shit, huh? Like power of the purse, which is being blatantly ignored as they gut congressionally approved aid. Not only with you with aid, but also congressionally approved Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the congressionally approved departments all across the country. And they don't have the right to do that unilaterally. So I think that the advice that one Republican advisor was giving Republicans, and some Republicans were taking, which is like, let's just not have town halls right now. Maybe let's wait for things to calm down, since the economy's still crap and right now it's very chaotic. And Trump has the lowest polling data of a president at this part of his term. And I think it might be in like U.S. history. I honestly don't know, because he has this is supposed to be the honeymoon period. At this point in Biden's presidency, Biden had 67% approval. Trump's at 45. If you're choosing the good numbers for him, it's 50-50. There's already numbers for him that are lower, and if you poll him by issue, like on the economy, he's deep underwater. On Ukraine, he's deep underwater. And right now, the Republican Party's agenda is Trump's agenda. So having town halls where you can't defend that agenda is pretty difficult. And so I understand why the advice was given. It's cowardice. And I think the advice that Tim Walz and others have put out there is, let's go to these communities, let's talk to them. I thought it was smart. I don't know if you guys saw, but Tim Walz is having town meetings and town halls in communities where Republican representatives have refused to have town hall meetings at the moment. And I think he should not be the only Democrat doing this. In fact, I think it should be other Democrats in their states who can more attend and talk through the issues that most concern them in their districts. But this is good. There's no reason. Just because campaign season's over does not mean you need to stop campaigning. Trump taught this a long time ago. Trump loves being on the campaign trail forever. I'd love to see some Democrats take that same mentality. Because if they're going to be on the road, if he's going to be on the road 24/7, why can't you be? Especially if they can't be on the road right now and they're closing in because the road is not treating them too well. I don't know if you got J.D. Vance's reception at the Kennedy Center. Kennedy Center is not, I think, a broad polling of the United States public, but that was not a happy reaction. Let me show you guys a town meeting that did go forward, a town hall with Representative Chuck Edwards, a Republican representative that decided that he was going to go forward with a town hall meeting anyway. Despite the advice from the advisors, despite the possibility of backlash, he was going to go through with a town hall meeting anyway. And he got let's just say, a not very happy reaction. And we have a lot of clips to go through here, but let's just start with this question, where this person went into a bunch of questions, but you can see where the crowd is. And you can see it through all of these clips, where the crowd is. There were people there who, of course, supported Representative Edwards, because there's it's a town hall, many people came. But the people who filled up that room were not there to say thank you.
Do you support the annexation of Canada and/or Greenland and this is a yes or no question. I don't want you to wander off into the woods. I don't want to hear about your latest week in your office. Okay, so I'm trying to get your opinion on this as a yes or no. Do you support Trump on annexing Canada or Greenland? And do you...
By the way, can you imagine all of the issues that are more important than this that we should be focusing on? Like lowering insulin prices, or, you know, our infrastructure, our metro system, high-speed rail, healthcare. And instead, we're talking about annexing Greenland, annexing Canada, because it makes good TV, and Trump wants to play the strong man. And I mean, if you listen to Trump's justifications for this annexation, or and he's having real private conversations with the president, with the leader of Canada, asking them about revisiting their border treaties. I don't know if you got, oh, I gotta find this clip. Yeah, here it is. Oh my God, I found it. By the way, this is the most Putin Trump has ever sounded like. This is the most Putin statement Trump can make. Listen to this.
And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago. Many, many decades ago. And
you want to know why it's so easy for Trump to be conciliatory towards Putin? It's because he thinks like him if he was dropped on his head on his soft spot as a baby.
Makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states. Maybe our greatest state.
I don't know if you saw, but Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, had to treat this seriously during a meeting with Donald Trump about his annexation of Greenland. And it led to a lot of Danish MPs, a lot of Danish politicians getting a little angry because they're like, why is the NATO Secretary General treating this seriously? And it's because they're trying to keep Trump on their good graces to see if they could have him participate and you know basic NATO functions.
But
look at this.
What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential?
Yeah, well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking. I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
There's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did. So when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there, and we have to be there.
He has to treat this seriously. Like the sovereignty of these people, what the people of Greenland want, like none of this like matters in any way. It's not brought into the conversation. He has to treat this seriously because they have to keep him in enough of a positive relationship with NATO so it can continue to function as it has somewhat for the last multiple decades. Isn't he the Dutch Prime Minister? He was the Dutch Prime Minister, but now he's the NATO Secretary General. And part of the reason why Mark Rutte was chosen to be NATO Secretary General is they see him as somebody who can speak to Trump very well. They call him like the Trump whisperer over there in Europe, which I don't really know if he's much of a Trump whisperer, but you can see the way he talks to Trump where he didn't comment on it, he avoided it. It's like, not my business, but let me tell you, you're right in this way. The way he's talking to him is a way to stay in his good graces. And from all I know, from him being this slippery fellow here, he has stayed in Trump's general good graces, and we don't know of any negative relationship between the two. So him being NATO Secretary General is good, but it's still humiliating for the United States and our country, and the damage this man does when he goes in public talking to these high-profile people and treats this annexation stuff, the sovereignty and other people, like it's a joke, or in the way that, yes, I'm serious, I want to annex this. It's terrible for the United States reputation. I mean, when I go back to Europe and I say that I'm an American, I know I'm going to get a few stares. Anyway, back to Representative Chuck Edwards getting confronted in this town hall. Kind of got off the topic a bit.
Canada or Greenland, and do you like the way he treats the premier or the president of Canada, calling him governor? Is that the way you do as a diplomat? Is that the way the United States should act to our closest neighbors? You know, is this, and I've still got a little more time. Do you enjoy the way he's tried to extort minerals from the Ukraine? Do you like bullying people that need your help? Do you go for kicking the guy when he's down? Do you support Trump in these things? And this is a yes or no.
The no's in there. Let me answer the first one, and then there was one that really stuck out that I'd like to also answer. I believe your first question that you wanted yes or no is, do I support annexing Greenland and Canada? The short answer to that is no, I do not. There was another question in there. I think it was, do I support a deal? I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. A deal with Ukraine in obtaining minerals and helping the United States taxpayer recoup the $140 billion or so that we've sent over there.
Occurred.
Yes, I do support that.
Glad Ruda is no longer just our problem, but everyone in NATO's problem. He's a sleazeball that lies so much he could be a Russian oligarch.
Well, whether or not he's a sleazeball or he lies a lot, the Europeans thought he was the perfect pick to Trump whisper, to be the Trump whisperer, because he's been able to keep that good relationship with Trump. But I don't know. Maybe you need your own oligarch to manage Trump. Maybe every diplomat or person that they send over to him should be like a sleazy businessman. I mean, you know, maybe instead of us meeting in this fantastic dining hall, we should go over to my other resort out in the woods with my beautiful women. And I don't know, it might be, there could be a sense to that. There could be a sense to that. But I've always worked under the principle that the way to deal with Trump diplomatically is not through back scratching. You have to bloody his nose. I think that's the way that Malcolm Turnbull dealt with him well internationally. I think that's the way Zelensky was able to turn the mineral deal from an extortion program to something that's at least semi-developmental. So I don't know. I think you do a little bit of the. I know it sounds pretty basic, but a bit of the carrot and stick.
That the $140 billion or so that we've sent over there, the answer is yes, I do support that. We'll go to our...
They liked the first answer. They did not like the answer of, hey, let's recoup our losses from Ukraine by extracting minerals. They did not like that. Why do you think they don't like that, Rube? Why do you think, now that the American people got a taste in their mouth for what recouping the losses from Ukraine would be, why do you think that, And while we don't have specific polling on recouping losses, we do know that the American public wants to continue to support Ukraine. We do know that the American public does not think that Trump's peace plan is working. Only 29% of Americans think that it has a chance of success. That's from recent CNN polling that just came out. It really shocked me. It's worse numbers than I expected, okay? And I'm the shill of Kiev, so you would expect me to, be hoping for the bad number, but I didn't expect only 29%. That means he's losing MAGA people on Ukraine. He's losing MAGA people on Ukraine. And so I think this idea of strong-arming Ukraine and this, like I'm a tough guy, this might work on the podcast, but the people who get their news about Ukraine by watching, like, maybe an actual news report, instead of somebody saying that Zelensky's wife spent all of the aid money on 10 yachts, might actually feel a little repulsed by the idea of trying to take some money out of their pocket when they're trying to rebuild, let alone the continuation of aid in and of itself, which wasn't even the question. And I'm sure if they asked about the cutting off of aid in this room, they would have even gotten a more negative response. Now let's move on to another response here, because I could talk all day, but these people's rage I cannot recreate. Listen to this one. This is a veteran in the audience who did not appreciate the man's responses when we started to hear about the cuts to the VA. Because let me tell you the type of cuts that's in this CR, this continuing resolution we haven't got to touch into today. Let me give just a few of the things that are being cut. There's going to be a $15 billion cut for the IRS, which is going to make it more difficult for the IRS to go after tax cheats and the ultra rich that are hiding their money off in offshore accounts. And so who are they going to go after? They're going to go after the people they can get, working people who don't have the lawyers to hide all their money. CDBG, that's for housing. There's going to be a cut of $3.4 million. EPA, clean water, that's $1.4 billion in cut. And I mean, a ton of stuff is getting cut, but the VA and not funding the VA into the future, this is something that has pissed off a lot of veterans in the country, which is supposed to be a constituency the Republican Party is known for fighting for. He fights for the patriot. But once the patriot's gotten home, once you've sucked the soul out of them on battlefields as they've tried to put their body on the line to bleed for the country, well, now they're bleeding for themselves back at home. They're not bleeding for the country anymore. Do we really need to keep looking out for them? Listen to this.
You're lying. I'm a veteran and you don't give a fuck about me. Shut the fuck up. You don't get the fucking union to us. You don't get to take away our rights. You don't get to take our rights. Get off of me. You don't get the union to us. Fuck you.
Now, to be clear, I do want to say that it was Chuck Edwards, it was the congressman who signaled for security to escort the man out.
Deeply value the contributions that
Just to be clear,
make
bullshit, and you're not
Quiet
fucking
down.
telling the
every
truth.
day
You're not
to keep
listening to
Let him speak. Let him speak.
important services. For example, folks at the National Weather Service
Are fired.
They are not taking it. They hear the spiel. They hear the same excuses they can get on Fox News. They want to hear the truth.
Dylan, thank you. Speak up for justice and reason.
Thank you for the tenor. I appreciate that. Thank you. It helps with the show, really. But they've heard all this on. If they want to go and they want to hear your dumb spiel, if they want to hear you go out there and put your foot on the stool and give your stump speech, they could go to OAN, they can go to Fox News, they can go to any number of media publications. You can publish a press report from your office. You can publish a press report from your office. They're here to speak to you about the issues. They're not here to hear your spiel on these cuts, because the problem is, we know that the cuts have been made. We know that they've made mistakes. Elon Musk and all of his slicing and dicing has admitted to accidentally firing some nuclear safety engineers here, then rehiring, but then refiring again, firing National Park Service people, firing, completely gutting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has returned finances stolen to 200 million Americans. 200 million Americans they've returned money to. That is the majority of Americans. Over $20 billion since its creation post the 2008 financial crisis. And now these barriers that we've built up after that crisis to protect Americans are being destroyed and gutted from the inside out without the say-so of Congress. His institution. He voted for the continuing resolution without confronting his party on this. He didn't go up there and say, hey, I'm not going to vote for this because X, Y, and Z until the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is no longer gutted. We have Article 1, power of the purse. It's his job that he is refusing to do. And so if they wanted to hear a spiel about what President Trump said, they can go listen to President Trump. If they want to go listen to all the good things the White House did, they can listen to press release. They want answers to the concerns that are affecting their day-to-day life. The grocery prices, the layoffs, and the cuts in services, the damage to the VA, the damage to housing, damage to the EPA. These are the things they care about. These are people who are annoyed that they have to be out. They are annoyed that they have to get out of the house. They have to roll out of bed, and then instead of sleeping in and watching Better Call Saul or doing whatever they want to do on their weekend, or whatever they want to do in their free time, with the limited amount of time they have on their earth to take care of their children. Look at this crowd. These are mostly older people. They've instead decided to come out and try to hear this one-on-one conversation. You're here with the spiel. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. This is why they don't want to do town halls. This is why he was warned not to do a town hall. Listen to this. One constituent at Representative Chuck Edwards' town hall, Martin Downey, 57, an Army vet recently fired from the USDA. And let me tell you, in government work, there are a lot of former veterans that have gone into government work because of the expected reliability of employment there and the fact that there is a lot of stuff to fix in this country. He was a prohibition, and this is somebody who served his country and then wants to go and continue to serve his country through federal work. As much as the right has made it part of their aesthetic or part of their, fun bashing and attack to go after federal employees for being a deep state or for being leeches, most of these people are in it because they want to serve their country. And they want to serve their country by helping us have clean water, helping us have beautiful forests, helping us have well-functioning Social Security that makes sure that grandma gets the money that she needs to get her insulin. That's what most people want. And that's what the majority of public workers want and desire and work towards. But we heard this before, that the plan was to make these public workers feel like shit, was to bully them out of their jobs, and to do this unconstitutional, without Article 1 approval, cuts in federal spending. And guess what? You've pissed them off. You made them feel like shit. Now they're reacting. He was a probationary remote worker, a longtime independent. His experience seems to have been radicalizing. I've never felt threatened by my own government, he told me. I almost think he enjoys this shit, Martin Downey, one of 300 attendees, told me later that night. I think he's a little bit sadistic. Let me just show you a compilation of this, because I'm showing you like cut moments, but just to put these together to give you a vibe of the night.
A curd is a curd.
That over beautiful musical composition.
Shout out Luxembourg.
Hey, Luxembourg shout out. Didn't expect that, but shout out Luxembourg, I guess.
Wanted to have a town hall in spite of some of my colleagues in D.C. going, Chuck, you're an idiot. I happen to agree with a lot of the things that's going on in Washington, D.C. Yeah. President Trump supports our Constitution. Proud to vote recently for the House Budget Resolution, which provides the framework. Thank you for that feedback. So, Elon Musk has brought a lot of really smart people to Doge. And you wonder,
wait, did you see that reaction? He doesn't know. He really doesn't know. He's so disconnected. I'm sorry, when you work, and look, I grew up in DC, and I grew up here as a kid watching these suits go in and out of these buildings. And I didn't grow up in DC, but I grew up in the DC area. And my grandfather worked in DC. We would spend our times on the weekends eating out of food trucks and just like, smoking up next to the Washington Monument and stuff during nighttime when nobody's around. We'd have a nice time. It was because what the buddies did, what the friends did. But the thing is, these people hang out with other suits. When you see them go into restaurants, they're not going into restaurants and with people that dress like your everyday Joe or is not wearing extremely expensive clothing. They're going to dinner with lobbyists. They're going to dinner with other congresspeople. And it used to be maybe sometimes they go to dinner with people of the other party. That still happens, but now that's less and less and less. And so these people will be in a bubble, and the only times they leave that bubble is to go into other bubbles. Say, right-wing podcast here, right-wing podcast there, right-wing TV show. And there have been more and more ideologically centered bubbles created in the media space that it's easier than ever to not have your ideas challenged. And so when these people actually have to talk to those who represent them, and they don't just interact with them as, hey, let me look at like how many votes we got at the ballot box at the end of the day, because somebody just clicked the R or somebody just clicked the D instead of even really checking who you were and knowing anything about you. But you have to go out there, face real constituents, and he's told, we don't like Elon. And he look at the face that he makes.
To Doge.
Did he not know that? That the vast majority of people don't like Elon Musk? Did he not know that? He might actually be that disconnected. And so this might be another man who quickly or slowly or whatever speed he wanted, he got sunk into the DC bubble and has gotten disconnected with voters. And let me just tell you, I could do this for a while. If you want to watch the entire town hall, I would recommend it. All of it's gold. But here's what happened afterwards when he left the town hall and he wanted to give a press conference at the end to the press without all the booing and yelling so he can get his ideas across. And this is what the public did on the doors and windows.
Foreign aid funds. We had a very detailed conversation. I met with FEMA Director Cameron Hamilton earlier this week for about an hour and a half. Had a chance to get foreign aid funds.
I don't think they like him. Do your job. Do your job. Can we watch the whole town hall while you stream? If you want to. It's very entertaining. It is. They were louder than him? Yeah, I think they wanted their voice to be clear. Mr. Burns. Hello, short stack goblin. Hope you're doing well, short stack goblin. We have such a lovely and diverse community here.
Burns is an immoral, morally corrupt, bankrupt man.
Now a bunch of vets have nothing to do but plot. Oh no. But yeah, no, I would say the one constituency you don't want to piss off is the veterans constituency. And I think maybe the Republican Party did not know that there was so much crossover between public workers and soldiers who are also public workers. I think maybe they didn't think about it that way before, but a soldier is an employee of the state. They're a public worker. It's just their public job and service is national defense. So it's not that crazy that somebody who liked the stability and, the stability and service that the military life could provide might slide over into public service afterwards. We're not calling him Schumer the Coomer. We're not going to do that. We're not calling him Schumer the Coomer, okay? That's a fate worse than death. We're not doing that. There are some things that are beneath us in our activism. And that is beneath us.